Have you found yourself self-sabotaging as a man? There's just some behavior and you find yourself going back on what you said you're going to do or perhaps doing things that aren't serving you. Well, today I want to talk about this in the podcast. So welcome back to the Men's Mental Health Podcast. This is certainly something through my life I've had to work through. And now and then, of course, I have to catch myself doing this. In fact, even recently, I've been like catching myself doing things. I'm like, why the hell am I doing that? Why am I doing this? Right? And it's stupid because I've worked so hard on myself. And it can be really frustrating as well. And I've realized self-sabotage is, for me, what I've learned. Sometimes it's a kind of weird protection. It's a way of your brain trying to keep you safe. It's like, oh, something new's coming. That's unfamiliar, so therefore let's go back to our old ways. And also, it can be what our nervous system is wired for. I was talking about this with someone very close to me earlier. We were talking about like nervous systems and what, and sometimes we don't get what we want. We get what our nervous system perceives as safe, which makes a lot of sense. Like, how many times? And I hear this a lot from like women, particularly in the communities I'm in. They're like, I want the man who's going to treat me right, who's going to love me, who's going to be my knight in shining armor, really care for me. But I keep attracting men who abandon me, who don't look after me in the right way. And that's not what I want. And I've seen it when like a woman does find a man like in that place, then sometimes they'll self-sabotage, or they'll say, he's not for me, he's not my type. And then they attract the guy who's not good for them. But I've never seen that in a woman who's done so much work on herself that she's created a level of safety to attract the right partner. And I know many of women who've done the work. And it's not like a blame or anything like that to people, but also men do that, right? I've known men who've attracted women who just don't treat them right until they did the work and then found their dream partner. That's an example in romantic relationships, or, it could be a same-sex relationship. It could be different gender like relationships, all these kind of things. But like, if you're saying you want something, you're not going to get what you want. You're going to get what your nervous system is wired for. If you've got emotional chaos within, you're going to get that. I used to, in the past, I've attracted abandonment myself, like someone who would be very loving, be very close, and suddenly disappear. And that's what my nervous system used to be very wired for, that abandonment, that chaos, that emotional switching, until I did the work. And like, what I attract now is so much different. But like with money, it's like you can say you want a lot of money, but you'll keep self-sabotaging until you do the work deep. And it's something I'm definitely working on as well. Weight, like you could be like, I want to be in a good weight, I want to be in shape, but actually you keep like suddenly putting on a massive amount of weight because that's what you're wired for. And that's what self-sabotage is. So these are things that have worked for me to work through things. Self-sabotage being going back on what you said you're going to do. If consciously we don't want to do it, we don't want to do bad things that hinder our progress, right? Of course not. But it's what our system's wired for, and a lot of that is subconscious. So here are 3 things that I found really, really useful. Number 1 is knowing your outcome, being very clear on your outcome, not what you don't want, but what you do want. And then keeping that in a very clear vision, keeping that very close to you, and then constantly reminding yourself of that. Because if you start focusing on what you don't want, then of course your system is trained to move towards that, even if you don't want it. So if you're like, I don't want to be in a miserable relationship, then focus on what you do want, which is a happy, loving relationship. And it doesn't mean that alone, of course, is going to work, but like that's definitely going to build progress than focusing on what you don't want. Or I don't want to be broke. That's not a very good want, but I want to be earning 10,000, 100,000 a month, whatever it is for you. Maybe it's even 5,000, whatever you want to be earning as a starting point. Focus on that rather than be like, I'm so broke right now, because again, your system's going to be trained for that. The second one is you've got to create an identity, and not just in your head, but in your system, about who you need to be to get that outcome. So if you want to be earning X amount of money, who do you need to be? If you want to be attracting the dream partner, who do you need to be? That's a big one.
And reason I'm touching on these examples, people talk about it a lot, and I'm just sharing my own learning. But if you're like, I've seen both women and men do this, but like particularly in the community side of women doing this, and I know we're on the Men's Mental Health podcast, but it applies to any gender, this one. But again, I hear women go like, I want to attract this kind of man who's like this, he's got a six pack, he's like handsome, he's kind, he's generous. And they themselves don't go to the gym, they don't work out, they watch gossip shows all the time, like to gossip, they don't work like of course, you're not going to attract what you want in. You've got to become what you want to attract as well, not just in your system. You want to be someone who attracts a lot of money. You need to be a man who is like abundant, wealthy, giving a lot of value, rather than just be like, I hope I get a lot of money. I hope I win the lottery one day, right? So creating an identity in your system is key. And then number 3, put systems in place, because your subconscious mind is going to be wired in a certain way, so it is going to do things that are going to pull you back whilst you do the identity work and really wire your system. But like, you can put a spending limit on your card, you can put your card away if you like reducing money. You make sure you tell an accountability partner you're going to talk to 5 prospects each day for your business. You're going to do a needle moving task in your career. You're going to put bad foods out of your home, right? Like, I had someone I used to work with, and I helped him through like his weight loss. He lost like 2 stone. It was incredible, right? He wasn't even a big guy, but he definitely, you see him losing the weight, and it was awesome. And I'm like, he's like, oh, I do really well, but then I've got my mind right for it, but then it's just all those junk food I've got in my home, I just eat them. And I'm like, you need to get rid of the junk food out of your home, and that's a huge system in place. And guess what? He lost a lot of weight. So think about the systems you can put in place, because willpower does not last. So having an accountability partner, having things out of reach, making the bad habits hard to do, making the the good habits really easy to do. You want to go to the gym in the morning, have your gym kit out. Like, maybe set yourself up to win with an intense 20-minute workout as opposed to a 2-hour workout. Yeah, so putting the systems in place as well. And of course, if I was going to give you a bonus one, I was going to sit with 3. But get yourself a coach, a trainer, someone who can really call you out and support you along the way through self-sabotage, because they can see blind spots you can't. I'm in the community right now. They are picking my blind spots apart really, really well. So that's what I'm going to share with you. Okay, so thank you for listening today. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.